Hi, my name is Chris Montague-Breakwell. I'm a Municipal Stormwater Permit Manager with Department of Ecology. I work with municipal stormwater permittees from Clark County to Pierce County on compliance with their municipal stormwater Phase 1 and Phase 2 permits. Today I'd like to talk to you about permit requirements for inspection and maintenance of private stormwater BMPs or facilities. These are facilities that are built for new development or redevelopment under minimum requirement number 6, which requires treatment, or minimum requirement number 7, which requires flow control. There are 3 or 4 key elements depending on whether or not you're a Phase 1 or Phase 2. I'll walk through them sequentially. First, create a program that has the legal authority to go onto private property and inspect these private stormwater facilities. So your codes or ordinances for your municipality must give you the legal authority to go on and inspect and if need be, enforce these maintenance standards. Second, train your municipal staff so that they understand what they're looking for when they're doing these inspections. So they'll need to inspect pursuant to the 2012 Stormwater Management Manual for Western Washington. There are myriad different BMPs and stormwater facilities in that. Your staff will have to understand those in order to properly carry out this inspection program. Third, your municipal program must be designed to inspect all private stormwater BMPs and facilities annually, with compliance with the permit being judged on achieving at least 80% of those inspections. Fourth and finally, for Phase 2s only, Phase 2s must adopt the 2012 Stormwater Management Manual maintenance standards by the end of 2016. Phase 1s already must do this at this time. In conclusion, remember, document and record all of these key elements will demonstrate to Ecology that you are in compliance with the permit.
Hello, my name is Abby Stockwell. I work for Department of Ecology as the Phase 2 Municipal Stormwater Permit Writer for Eastern Washington. Today I will be talking about what the permit says regarding operation and maintenance of stormwater best management practices on private property. This is permit section S5B5 on post-construction stormwater management for new and redevelopment. This section of the permit requires Eastern Washington permittees to implement and enforce a program that addresses stormwater runoff from sites that have been developed and that discharge to the municipal stormwater system, otherwise known as the MS4. This is done through adoption of an ordinance or another regulatory mechanism. This provision to require stormwater management kicks in when a project disturbs an acre or more of land, or less than an acre if the project is part of a larger plan of development. This means that property owners and developers will need to follow the minimum technical requirements found in Appendix 1 of the permit. Following Appendix 1 can mean providing runoff treatment and flow control best management practices for the development and ensuring the long-term operation and maintenance of those BMPs. We ensure the long-term operation and maintenance of those BMPs in 2 ways. The first is through an operation and maintenance plan. The operation and maintenance plan requires the identification of the responsible party, the long-term funding source, and the actions needed to maintain a functioning BMP. The second way that we ensure long-term operation and maintenance of those stormwater best management practices is through an inspection program. So that ordinance that needs to be adopted must include the legal authority to access the property during both the construction and post-construction phases to inspect the stormwater best management practices that discharge to the MS4. Access to inspect the stormwater best management practices can be done by municipal staff, or if deemed necessary during the post-construction phase, the ordinance can be written to allow a qualified third party to certify that the best management practices were maintained properly and are functioning as intended. So all of this is with the goal of protecting water quality. Structural BMPs are required to be inspected once during installation and then once every 5 years after final installation, or more frequently if it's needed to protect water quality. Other key components of this permit section involve providing training to your municipal staff that are involved in implementing any section of this permit, and also providing information to design professionals that are involved in developing these types of projects. It's really important to show your work. So maintain the records of maintenance activities, inspections, and your training.
I'm Rod Swanson. I'm a stormwater permit manager at Clark County, Washington. I also supervise our assessment and monitoring program. Clark County Environmental Services manages the Clark County NPDES stormwater permit. There are multiple departments in Clark County who actually implement permit requirements. Public Works does a good deal of the work, maintaining county facilities, inspecting private facilities. Community Development implements stormwater requirements for individual building sites, residential development. Public Works also implements our development requirements for development projects, subdivisions, larger developments that are commercial or industrial developments. The GIS system allows us to take the inventory and place it into another system called a maintenance management system that can track the condition of each asset. The maintenance management system also allows us to print out information about each facility that we can provide to the owner. For instance, it will be a map that has each object in the facility with an identification number on it. When an inspection is done on that facility, the inspector then can look at each object and identify whether it has a defect or if it meets the standards of our manual. Each facility owner receives feedback from the county. If their facility is compliant, they receive a card telling them that their facility meets county standards and thanking them for actually meeting the standards. If there are defects that need to be repaired or things that need to be maintained, they receive a letter describing the inspection process. They receive a card that they can return to the county with a checkbox that says they would like further technical assistance. That allows the County Public Works Department inspectors who did the inspection to contact them and provide technical assistance either over the phone or through a site visit. If there is no response at all to an inspection that finds defects, then often those are referred to a technical assistance professional who will begin to contact the homeowners association or the business owner to engage them and begin the steps necessary to remedy the defects in the facility. Once a private stormwater facility is referred to environmental services for technical assistance following the public works efforts, we actually enter each facility into our code enforcement cases so that we can track the enforcement process and have documentation of it as part of our NPDES permit compliance, which is very helpful if you get audited by the EPA or the Department of Ecology. It demonstrates that you have a process to actually enforce your code and that you're following that process, which is very important. Generally, we have good luck getting people to comply with our standards. People want their stormwater facility to work. We tell them why they need it and what it is and why it's important, and they work with us to perform the maintenance. Clark County has a number of resources available on its webpage that could be used by other municipalities. First for us is our Stormwater O&M manual, which is part of our stormwater manual. We also have developed outreach materials for residential subdivisions that own stormwater facilities and had to maintain them. It was called the Stormwater Partners Project here locally. And there's a video on there and some more user-friendly documents that help the homeowners maintain their facilities.
Hello, Rob Buchert with the City of Pullman Stormwater Services. I'm the program manager, and my responsibilities include general administration of the city's stormwater program, compliance with our stormwater NPDES permits, and generally I tell folks that it's my job to keep the water flowing through town in a manner that is not causing damage, such as flooding, and keep it as clean as possible before it hits the river. One of the things that we do in Pullman that I find very beneficial when it comes to making sure that all the requirements are being met with respect to the permit and regulations is we have a site plan approval process. As new development comes into town, they're required to go through this process to make application and submit plans on the front end. Plans are then doled out to the various different departments for compliance with city code. So we review it individually, and then we come together as a group to discuss all of the requested changes and the code language that we feel applies. And that is probably the single most beneficial thing that we have here in Pullman to capture on the front end all of these requirements. I'm able to weigh in on all of the permit requirements and specifically relating to private stormwater facilities. At that time, we can also call out on the approval letter conditions of approval, that they have a licensed engineer stamping the drawings, certifying that it was installed correctly. Even though we do our own inspection on the city side of things, we have that backup with the private engineer that's documenting that they've inspected it and it is installed correctly. And then, in addition to that, we also require the O&M plan be produced. So before they can receive their certificate of occupancy for that building, they have to produce an O&M plan for the stormwater facilities that are being proposed. That's the incentive we use to ensure that all the stormwater requirements have been met on this private development. Now, the reality is that those requirements are usually left to the last priority and are not always addressed or remembered. It's been our experience that we have to remind them of what they agreed to on the front end, first of all, and then with these new requirements, with the O&M plan and the certification of the installation of these stormwater structures, that there wasn't a whole lot of precedent, before now for folks having done that, at least in Pullman. So we, when we asked for, and specifically I'm talking about the O&M plan, when it came down to the O&M plan, there were no templates available. There were not very many resources that we could find. So our approach, not really having dealt with that requirement before now, we found that the tools available, there's plenty of guidance manuals, plenty of protocols out there, but when it came to actual examples of O&M plans for private facilities, that's where we were coming up a little short. Having that tool available was critical, and now that we have that, we have something to build on, and so we're pretty pleased with that. Our approach, again, was to try and partner with some of the local engineering firms, some local developers, to start to work through what that should look like and what form that should take. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. We are, like I said, viewing it more as a partnership at this point, trying to get through this initial stage and then seeing where it goes from there.
My name is Matt Carlson. I am the Regional Stormwater Coordinator for the Asotin County Regional Stormwater Program. We are a regional program made up of 3 jurisdictions: the City of Clarkston, the City of Asotin, and the urbanized area of Asotin County, Washington. In our jurisdictions, we give the private developers the option of either retaining the 10-year storm event on site or the 25-year storm event on site, and then discharging any excess flow to the municipal stormwater sewer system. Our soils are typically well draining in our region. We still need to highlight the need for stormwater management and properly designed and sized stormwater facilities, because in eastern Washington we may not have as much rain as western Washington, but we still do get these heavy concentration events several times a year where we have quite a bit of flow and it needs to be managed effectively. Some of the challenges we face are stressing the importance to private development and contractors why it's necessary to properly design and size a stormwater retention system for new development, and along with not just the need for stormwater facilities on private development, but also proper operation and maintenance of that facility long term. And with these permit requirements, not only is it required to perform operation and maintenance and have an operation and maintenance plan for the facility, but it's just good practice to perform proper O&M. In order to ensure compliance with these requirements, we use the plan review process and initial consultation with private developers to educate them on our stormwater requirements and our design standards, and use it as an educational opportunity. One of the key takeaways to ensure the longevity and maintenance of these private stormwater facilities is to develop public education and outreach components that not only instruct private developers or operators of these systems on proper operation and maintenance techniques, but also educate them as to why we need these facilities in the first place.
Hi, my name is Kim Ashmore. I'm the Street, Fleet, and Stormwater Manager for the City of Centralia. The City of Centralia's approach to stormwater management for operation and maintenance of detention ponds, retention ponds, catch basins on private facilities has been a proactive approach to go out and talk to residents, talk to the developments, and show them what the requirements are in the permit for us to have to inspect those facilities and then their requirements to maintain those. After we developed our inspection form in 2008, we put it into use in 2009, and one of the first inspections we did was at the place we're at now, and we worked with the homeowners association here to show them what the need was for maintaining that pond and hopefully what the benefits would be long term. That original inspection in 2009 found trees growing inside the detention pond and also sediment levels about 8 inches deep in that detention pond. Working with Lori and her homeowners association and doing some public education with the homeowners association about the requirements to maintain that pond, they later brought in a contractor to take care of that pond, and Lori's going to explain to you what that process involved, what it cost, and the end results of how it has improved the development here. Lori?
Well, before we were aware of how the pond worked and why it was there, we had flooding in the roads. We didn't really understand why. When Kim entered the picture, we found out that we had to remove all the trees from the pond, and the following year we removed all the stumps. And now the maintenance is basically our landscaper goes in every week and checks it, makes sure the grass is cut and things are working. And
so as Lori mentioned, she had to hire a contractor to come in and remove stumps and remove trees and sediment. And there was some costs associated with that, and I'm going to let Lori explain the costs of doing that initial cleanup, which hadn't been done since 1996 when the development was completed, and the upkeep cost, and then if there's any potential problems anymore with flooding in the streets.
the initial cost was under $5,500 to do the major cleanup. And there really is no cost now. Our landscaper, rather, it's in his contract to maintain it on a weekly basis for mowing and making sure the drains are working properly during the rainy season. So the worst part was in the beginning of just trying to understand and do everything we had to do, but now it's been a piece of cake.
And as this homeowners association and the City of Centralia partner, we get a yearly annual report from homeowners association explaining what maintenance was taken care of, if there was any issues found. So then when we do our inspection in May or June each year, usually everything's kept up, the weeds are down, the trees aren't growing, and there's really no issues in that pond. And as Lori said, there's really no additional cost to their homeowners association to keep that pond up. Lori has developed that report and that spreadsheet, and she's going to explain to you a little bit about how that process works.
The city basically wanted who, what, why, and how of anything that was done within the pond. I made up my own spreadsheet that would cover that criteria, and it was quite full in the beginning because I was recording when we were cleaning this up or that up or whatever. And for the last 5 years or so, it's been quite boring. I went back on one of my spreadsheets and looked at one of the reports, and back in January 2012, we had 2 feet of snow, and it was raining, and there was potential flooding of the rivers. Our roads were completely not backed up for the first time. It was great. So this works.
In summary, I'd just like to thank Lori and the Homeowners Association for taking care of their pond and protecting water quality. Thank you, Lori.
And it was a success, and I appreciate working with you. Thank you.